food tracking and food journaling is going to be the number one way that you're going to affect change in your diet and in your nutrition. Why? Because it gives you a baseline or a roadmap to work off of to make your changes. So you're going to go week to week and you're thinking to yourself, man, I want to eat better, but I don't know how much to eat. How many calories should I eat? You can always look this up on the internet. There's estimates, there's general recommendations for these types of things. But until you know what exactly you're already consuming by the numbers, you can't use those numbers and recommendations in order to make changes in your diet. Of course, so for every food item we have, there's always going to be a nutrition label, right? And this will tell us about how many calories are in this food item. It'll tell us how much fat, sodium, carbohydrates, protein are in these food products. But understanding these numbers alone is helpful. To take it a step further so you can actually change what you're doing, you need to understand how much of this you're actually consuming on a day-to-day basis. Of course, we can eyeball it. Like this says serving size 1/2 cup. And I kind of know what a 1/2 cup looks like if I were to just scoop it out with the spoon and lay it down on the plate. But that can be pretty deceiving. My 1/2 cup tomorrow might look different than my 1/2 cup today, which changes the numbers. You know, if I'm off by 20% even, then this could be drastically different in terms of what I'm eating every single day or every single meal. That adds up a lot over time. That could be the difference between losing a pound of fat a week or not. So understanding these numbers specifically and very accurately is going to be the key difference maker in your nutrition. So what we're going to do when we're tracking here is set a goal time limit, right? So we're going to use this as a SMART goal. It's going to be specific in that I'm going to say I'm going to track every single thing that I eat that comes into my body using either I'm going to write it down or I'm going to use an app that's easy and convenient for me to access, and it's going to we're going to make sure that it's measurable. I want to track it for how long, right? 7 days. We'll say 7 days is perfect. You get a whole week. That includes your weekend when you might eat differently than your weekdays that you're working, and the times that you're, you know, in and out doing stuff. If there's like a special event during this week, then extend that to 2 weeks instead. Now this is going to take some work, and it's going to be a little bit extra time that you have to spend on thinking about this and doing it, and that stuff is good. That's practicing the skill of being conscious about your nutrition. What we want, though, is for this to not impede our motivation or hinder our journey at all, or, you know, step into what we're doing day to day in our life. So that's why we're keeping this measurable to about a week. And that's all the information that we're going to need to be able to make really good changes. Because we want to make sure this is realistic as well as a goal. We want to set a good goal for ourselves that's going to be something attainable, and we're not going to say, I'm going to just track every day for the rest of my life. It adds a lot of extra time or at least conscious effort, especially in the beginning, that you have to think about doing this. But that's a very, very important thing to prioritize. In terms of the time that you spend on it, that also, you want to make sure that you have it planned out during the week. So you're thinking about, I know for a fact whenever I go to work on Thursday, I'm going to have to eat out somewhere. So you want to make sure that you have that in mind whenever you go to McDonald's or whatever, and have your tracking method ready. We're going to talk about how to do that at a restaurant as well today. So when you're at home and you're just tracking the foods that you have in your house, this is where it's actually the easiest to really understand the numbers. So what we're going to do, the first step, I'm going to make what I call a parfait. It's just cottage cheese, berries, with a couple extra ingredients as well. So we're going to start with just the things that you're going to be using here. So a few tools of the trade that you're going to need. Very, very simple, very cost-effective items for you to get, things that you're going to need to have anyways. So we'll start here with just a standard 11-pound scale, kitchen scale that you can find at, Kroger, Walmart, anywhere that you shop at. Probably carries like grocery stores do. We've got your measuring cups. The most important ones that you're gonna need is a 4th cup measurement, tablespoon measurement, and maybe a 3rd cup measurement as well. Everything comes together usually. You can get all of this stuff for generally like under $30, and then you have it forever. Most of the stuff you might already have. So what we do is we'll start with our berries here. So I've got a little strainer I'm just gonna use to rinse them off with. We're gonna set the strainer on the scale first. This is just how it works. All the instructions came with it, and I just read it before I used it. Turn it on, and that ensures that it's zeroed out. So now any extra weight that I add on is gonna count, but it doesn't count the weight of this strainer itself. So I'm just gonna add in some berries here, whatever amount that I want to eat. I'm not gonna even care how much it is. I'm just putting them in. If I was gonna grab this out of the fridge for a snack, then I'm gonna do the same thing. I would just kind of eyeball it, right? The difference maker is the fact that the number is on the scale, so now I can record what that number is gonna be. So 210. So what I'm gonna do is, well, I'm filming on my phone, but I'll pull out my my journaling app. I would go ahead and put in 210, or even better. Since I don't have my phone available, I'm just gonna write it down. Strawberries, 210. And that's measured in grams. This machine allows me to change it from ounces to grams. I just like to use grams for fruit and vegetables because I've got this goal where I'm trying to eat 800 grams of fruit and vegetables combined in one day, every day. So we got 200, just makes it easy for me. So now I'm gonna go rinse these. All right, so I've got that set. And I'm gonna reset the scale because now I'm gonna use the bowl. So we put the bowl in there, hit the reset button. We're gonna add in our cottage cheese next. So this on the back here, it says serving size is about a 1/2 cup. Right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna use the 1/2 cup to scoop out my servings. And for me, I'm trying to get in my protein for the day, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do one. I'm gonna do another. And for this, we actually don't even need it on the scale because we already know what size we're measuring it in. We're doing it by volume in this way, total amount of space it takes up. And the strawberries we would have done by weight because they're big and bulky, and a cup of strawberries one day is going to be different than a cup of strawberries the next day. It's different strawberries. So I'm just going to do 2 servings of this. That looks about right. If I was hungry, I'd throw in another one. We're not trying to make the changes now. We're just trying to measure what we're already eating, right? All right. So we got our strawberries, we got our cottage cheese. Next, we're gonna get our cacao powder. I just like to throw this in there. And this on the back says, serving size is 1 teaspoon, okay? So we can look this up, how many teaspoons are in a tablespoon, and I'll just use that conversion, I'll Google it. So I'm using my tablespoon here. So I really like this stuff, it's great. Good for you too. So now we got cottage cheese, 2 servings, cacao, 1 tablespoon. And I'm just gonna add in some cinnamon. When it comes to seasonings, this isn't really something that you need to track. There's no calories or macronutrients that you're really gonna get from your seasonings. So just put on whatever you want. You don't even have to worry about it. Now we're just gonna add everything together here. And then boom, you've got it. This is just what you do for each meal that you make at home. So if this was something that you're cooking or preparing, like with heat, like for example, if you're cooking chicken or something, basically everything is exactly the same. You would just weigh it after you cook it, preferably. That just makes it easy, so you don't have to deal with the mess as much. And you can do the same exact thing where you just put a bowl, whatever bowl you're going to eat out of, on the scale, zero it out, And then as you add each ingredient, that's when you would take down your notes. So for example, if it was like chicken, green peppers, onions, we're eating a fajita, and rice, right? If I'm gonna mix it all together, what I'm gonna do is put my bowl or my plate on there, add my chicken first, write that down or type it down in your app, and then just add the next ingredient, make sure you write that down. And you can just do that by weight if it's things like that. But if it's smaller, granular things like rice, for example, is really easy to measure with just a measuring cup. You would just add a cup to it, and just write it down that you added a cup to it. It's making sure that you have the tools nearby in order to measure accurately, because the number one thing we don't want to do is just eyeball it. And because that's how we run into issues where we don't know where our excess fat's coming from, why aren't we not gaining muscle, that kind of stuff. Is because our measurements are inaccurate. So we just got to make sure that we do this for 7 days, 1 week, each meal that you do. And this includes things like snacks. So for example, I've got a Cliff Bar right here. I love keeping these handy. It's a tasty treat, really. And on here, there's a barcode to scan. So it makes it really easy with my app. I just scan in a Cliff Bar. And just make sure that you have that stuff nearby, like your phone or maybe a journal. So that way you can, if you don't have your phone on, you can at least write down that you ate a Cliff Bar and then record it later so that you have the nutrition facts with you. You can of course read the label and just say like 1 Cliff Bar equals this much like calories and protein and write all that stuff down. The app just makes it easier. I'd recommend Cronometer. It's free, and you have the scanner on there. Most of these other apps make you pay for the scanner or subscribe in some type of way, and that's pretty lame. So Cronometer's got it, super handy to use. You might have to watch an ad, whatever. But yeah, so we got snacks, we got meals made at home, and then meals that you eat out, you also want to record. Now, this is where the apps really come in handy because most of them are gonna have a database. And if you just search on there, you can find basically any common restaurant that you would eat at. So if you've got like a Chipotle, for example, you can type in your order at Chipotle that you got, and it will bring it up for you, and it'll make it super easy to record. The only issue is that it comes back to that eyeballing and accuracy thing. They don't measure their stuff out in cups and in pounds and in grams. You just have to kind of guess how much it is. You can say I got 1 order of beans, but they could scoop out, they could be up to like 20, 40% off from what the last person used in their scoop of beans when they were working. So eating out makes it tricky, but it's not going to be impossible. You can still get a pretty good read on what it is. And if the numbers are wrong, you can make smaller adjustments later on. It's just harder to manage that way. But you should still make an effort to try to record what it was, even when you eat out at restaurants too. So meals made at home, snacks, restaurants, it's everything covered. And restaurants would include eating out. So if you're like at a family barbecue or something, you can do the same thing. But hey, that makes it easier. You just ask them to scan the stuff that you have in the kitchen. And again, we're only doing this for 7 days, up to 14 days, up to 2 weeks. So it's like a project that you're taking on for just a short period of time, and then after that, that's whenever we can start making the small changes, and that's whenever it becomes more of the habit that you're building in terms of eating differently and improving your nutrition. This week, you're just eating what you normally would. The only difference is recording it and journaling it. So I hope that's helpful. Please let me know if you have any questions or if there's any concerns that you have, like, hey, I'm not sure how I'm going to track this. Please ask me, because I've done this a lot, and I just want to make sure that you're able to make changes that are accurate and that are going to be helpful, and you're not wasting your time.